books every weekend. Book TV, television for serious readers.
Tonight, it is my honor to introduce Professor Bernadette Atuahene. Professor Atuahene is a property law scholar focusing on land stolen from people in the African diaspora. She's the daughter of Ghanaian immigrants who grew up in Los Angeles and attended UCLA for college. She then earned her JD from Yale and her MPA from Harvard. After completing her graduate studies, she served as a judicial clerk at the Constitutional Court of South Africa and then practiced as an associate at Cleary, Gottlieb, Steen, and Hamilton in New York. She's now a professor at the USC Gould School of Law. Professor Atuahene has worked as a consultant for the World Bank and the South African Land Claims Commission, and she's also directed and produced an award-winning short documentary film about one South African family's struggle to regain their land. She's been honored with the Fulbright Fellowship, Council on Foreign Relations International Affairs Fellowship, and Princeton Laws and Public Affairs Fellowship. Her first book, We Want What's Ours, Learning from South Africa's Land Restitution Program, is based on 150 interviews she conducted with South Africans dispossessed of their land by the colonial and apartheid governments and who received some form of compensation post-apartheid. Professor Atuahene won a National Science Foundation Award for her current project about racialized property tax administration here in Detroit. She's received several accolades for that work, including the Law and Society Association's John Hope Franklin Award for Best Article on Race in 2020, and the prize for the Best Overall Article in 2024. In addition to publishing 2 New York Times op-eds and appearing on national news shows such as Democracy Now! And the Tavis Smiley Show to discuss her Detroit work, she's also published in many academic articles and journals in such prestigious places as the California Law Review, Northwestern Law Review, and Southern California Law Review. Professor Atuahene's Detroit work also revealed another underreported national phenomenon, predatory governance, where public officials raise public dollars through racist policies. When she moved to Detroit, she planned to study the city's squatting phenomenon. But what she accidentally found out was so urgent that she couldn't ignore it. Her neighbors, many of whom had owned their homes for decades, were losing their homes to property tax foreclosure, leaving once bustling black neighborhoods blighted with vacant homes. Through years of dogged investigation and research, Atuahene uncovered a system of predatory governance where public officials raise public dollars through laws and processes that produce or sustain racial inequality and inequity. A nationwide practice that is in no way limited to our situation here in Detroit. In Plundered, this powerful work of scholarship and storytelling, Atuahene shows how predatory governance invites complicity from well-meaning people, eviscerates communities, and widens the racial wealth gap. By following the lives of 2 Detroit grandfathers, one black and the other white, and their grandchildren, Atuahene tells a riveting tale about racist policies, how they take root, why they flourish, and who profits. Detroit Mercy Law is proud to partner with Professor Atuahene and the Coalition for Property Tax Justice on our housing law clinic. The coalition runs a property tax appeal program which combines pro bono legal representation and innovative technologies to help low-income homeowners file appeals to challenge inflated property tax assessments. And while they're providing this service, our great students also gain invaluable practical legal skills. I know we have some of our students joining us here tonight, and we all thank you for that work. And I will, before I bring up Professor Atuahene, I do have to say, if you have questions during the Q&A portion of the program, please fill them out on those cards, and you can pass them forward to Mama Shoshana, who will be collecting them right here up front. So you can pass them this direction if you have questions, and we'll be sure to answer them in due course. And so now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Bernadette Atuahene.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. And thank you, Dean Shrek, who, this is his first year of the deanship, but as soon as he got in, he revived the housing clinic, and now our property tax appeal project is housed right here at Detroit Mercy because of Dean Shrek. Thank you. All right, y'all, we about to cut up. So before getting to the book, I want to tell you a little bit about my background and how I came to do this work. So my parents immigrated from Ghana in West Africa. And when I was a child, I knew I had 4 career options. I could be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a disgrace to the entire family. I was bad at math, so that was a complete no-go. The thought of dissecting cadavers just brings chills down my bones, so that wasn't an option. Since I was determined not to be a disgrace, so law was my only option left. But I didn't want to be just any old lawyer. Ever since I enrolled at UCLA for undergrad, I knew I wanted to be a change maker, protecting intergenerational wealth in my community. And when I commit to something, y'all, I am all in. So I worked myself to the bone. I made it to Yale Law School and Harvard's Kennedy School of Government for my graduate studies. I eventually became a law professor, and now 100% of my scholarly research, writing, and advocacy deals with land stolen from Black people. So I do ethnography, which means I live and immerse myself in the place I study. And my first ethnographic project was examining land stolen in South Africa during apartheid and colonialism. And my first book is called We Want What's Ours, Learning from South Africa's Land Restitution Program. And it really examined the psychological, political, economic impact of getting land or money back. So my book was a huge success. At the official book launch, the Deputy Land Claims Commissioner himself attended and publicly announced that the commission intended to implement 90% of my book's recommendations. So although the first book project was wildly successful, it was really uncomfortable for me in many ways because it looked at Black people as victims, Black people being stolen from. So in my next ethnographic project, I wanted to move from Black victimhood to Black agency. And I decided, as Dean Schreck said, to focus on squatting because this is where vulnerable populations take land instead of being stolen from. Now, Detroit has one of the largest squatting phenomenon in modern U.S. history. So I applied for and won a big grant called the National Science Foundation grant. And that's how I actually came to Detroit, is to study squatters. And in the law, all my property law, everyone who's taking property law, you should be following me very closely here, right? So a squatter is someone who occupies property without the permission of the record owner. And there's two types of squatters. One is a takeover, and that's what normal people think about as a someone who rolls up into a property with no prior legal relationship. But in property, I teach my students that there's another legal category called a holdover. Okay. And a holdover is someone who had a legal relationship to the property and then like as a tenant or an owner, for instance, but when that relationship ends, they stay without permission. So when I began interviewing the holdovers, one person after the other was talking about they were the owner and they lost ownership through something called tax foreclosure. And then they stayed waiting on the new owners to arrive. Now, at that point, I knew a lot about mortgage or foreclosure as a property professor, but I knew very little about tax foreclosure, so I had to actually do my homework. And I very quickly discovered that since 2009, 1 in 3 homes has been taken through property tax foreclosure. This is the highest number of property tax foreclosures in American history since the Great Depression. So given the gravity of the situation, I had to switch my focus from squatting to property tax foreclosure. And I've lived right here on Detroit's East Side since 2017, really trying to understand the property tax foreclosure crisis from those I live beside. So Myrisha Brown in the book, for those of you who are going to read the book, you'll read about a woman called Myrisha Brown. And she's one of more than 150 homeowners who I actually have interviewed for my study. Now, Myrisha is this little petite, brown-skinned woman with a super cute pixie cut. And she's one of the many stories I tell in my book, Plundered, How Racist Policies Undermine Home Ownership in America. So one cold winter day, Myrisha and I actually went back to the family home on Bayless Street that she lost to property tax foreclosure. And as we walked through the home, Myrisha said, man, I haven't been back here since my kids and I were evicted several years back. And as we stepped into the yard, we both noticed that the home was vacant. And I need you to know this was a total and complete gut punch for Myrisha because she had worked so hard to make sure that the home didn't become a vacant, blighted structure like many homes on her block and in the city of Detroit. So as we slowly walked around the home's perimeter, she pointed out all the places she had told me about in the multiple interviews we had conducted together over the years. She said, this spot right here, this is where the garage used to be. A fire at the neighboring house burnt it down. She was like, this right here, this is where my granddad's beloved apple tree used to be. When he died, it died, and they eventually had to to cut it down. So as we moved from the backyard to the side of the home, Myrisha kind of stopped and she peered through the side window because she wanted to look in the living room. And that's where her grandmother, who lived to 102, spent her last days. Then I saw Myrisha's face turn ashen, and I immediately ran over to figure out what in the world was going on. What we both saw, we could not believe our eyes. The pipes had frozen and burst, covering the living room in at least a foot of ice. Myrisha wailed, and all I could do is stand there and hold her and cry with her. So this home on Baylor Street meant so much to Myrisha because her grandparents fought hell and high water to acquire it. They had, despite racial covenants, redlining, blockbusting, urban renewal, and other racist policies, in their retirement, Myrisha's grandparents were finally able to purchase this home. And it was without a doubt their dream home. And it was actually in an area that racial covenants once made off limits to blacks. But when whites left to the suburbs, blacks moved in. Now, the home on Baylor Street was the only asset that Myrisha's grandparents had to pass down. But by the time her grandmother, who I told you lived to 102, passed away, no other family member even wanted the house because it was no longer a valuable asset. It was, in fact, a money pit. The home had broken windows covered with plastic. There was no functioning shower or bath. Plaster was falling through from the ceiling. So the other homes on the block were in equally bad shape. And I need you to realize that when historic and modern day redlining cut off funds from home improvement, this type of blight is the inevitable result. It's not accidental. Given the poor shape of the Bayless home, the real question we need to deal with is why in the world was Myrisha so eager to inherit her grandparents' home and so committed to rehabilitating it when no one in her family wanted anything to do with it? So when I interviewed Myrisha for the first time, she shared her life with me and gave me some insight into this quandary. So as the oldest child and a woman, this is where we're about to talk about gender, okay? She carried back-breaking caretaking responsibilities on her very narrow shoulders. Myrisha told me that not only did she have to care for her own two children, but she also had to care for their father, who was in a wheelchair as a result of a carjacking. She told me that she had to care for her sister, who had a debilitating autoimmune disease, along with her sister's child. Myrisha also had to care for another one of her sisters who had irreversible brain damage, and that sister's son. Because of our nation's poorest social safety net, women like Myrisha are forced to fill the gaps at great cost to themselves. After spending time with Myrisha, it became clear why she couldn't easily abandon her grandparents' home on Bayless Street. Under no circumstances does Myrisha dodge or evade family responsibilities. No matter how daunting, she takes it head on. So rehabilitating her legacy is not something that Myrisha wanted to do. It's something that she had to do. Some of Myrisha's most precious childhood memories happened on Baylor Street. She said to me, I remember scooping up the apples that my grandfather shook down from the apple tree. She said, those were some of the juiciest green apples in the entire city of Detroit. And above all, Myrisha is a proud Detroiter, ride or die Detroiter who is committed to her city. And she didn't want her home, her legacy, to become a vacant eyesore like many of the other homes on her block and in the city, contributing to the story of Detroit's demise instead of the city's revival. So that's why that day we went back to the house and she saw the living room covered in at least a foot of ice. She felt like a complete and utter failure. But y'all, Myrisha failed because individual efforts are no match for broken systems. I'm going to say that again. Myrisha failed because individual efforts are no match for broken systems. The saga started when Myrisha found a yellow bag on her porch. Let's put up the book cover, the yellow bag, y'all all know, the famous yellow bag, right? And when she opened the bag, she found a legal notice informing her that the property tax foreclosure process had begun. And if she did not pay her debt by March 31st of the following year, Wayne County would sell her home at the tax foreclosure auction. After she read the notice, she was flooded with emotion. She felt scared. She felt anxious. She felt depressed. And most of all, y'all, she felt shame. She was ashamed because the yellow bag announced to the entire neighborhood that she was behind on her property taxes and about to lose her grandparents' home. But when she looked up, surprisingly, almost every other home on the block had a yellow bag attached to its porch as well. So she knew something was funny, but she didn't know exactly what was going on. So when I first interviewed Myrisha, she blamed herself for losing her legacy. She said, well, Professor, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And most officials that I interviewed also explained the property tax foreclosure crisis with what I call narratives of personal irresponsibility. One of them said to me, well, Prof, Detroiters just don't want to pay their taxes. Another said to me, well, you know, the problem is Detroiters bought houses they couldn't afford. And one official even had the audacity to say to me, Prof, the problem is Detroiters decided to buy purses instead of paying their property taxes. But my research tells a different story. It's a story not about failure of personal responsibility, but it's a story of structural injustice. In researching this book, I have interviewed hundreds of homeowners, government officials, investors. I have combed through reams and reams of property tax assessment data. I even took a 9-month course and passed the state exam to become a certified Michigan property tax assessor. My comprehensive investigation shows that between 2009 and 2015, in each of these 7 years, anywhere between 53 and 83% of homes were being assessed in violation of the Michigan State Constitution, which quite clearly says no property can be assessed at more than 50% of its market value. The Bayless home and the lowest valued homes, including the Bayless home, were the homes that were most affected. In addition to my investigation, the Detroit News did their own expose, and they found that the city of Detroit overtaxed Detroiters by at least $600 million. Since over 30% of Detroiters live below the poverty line, many homeowners did not have the money to pay these illegally inflated property taxes. And what's worse is many people lost homes for property taxes they were not supposed to be paying in the first place. In Michigan, when homeowners live below the poverty line, they qualify for an exemption. But the city of Detroit erected so many barriers that many people never knew about or applied for this entitlement. So yes, tens of thousands of Detroiters were subjected to property tax foreclosure for property taxes they were not supposed to be paying in the first place. So it is no wonder that when Myrisha looked up, she saw yellow bags attached to almost every door on her block. My God, my God. When the local government takes a family's home for failure to pay property taxes, it doesn't just take bricks and mortar. It takes intergenerational wealth. It takes priceless memories. Through the chaos of eviction, people lose so much. They lose family photos. They lose grandmama's quilts. They can't recover the height marks etched into door frames marking their child's growth. They're separated from longtime neighbors who've become family. Again, through property tax foreclosure, people lose so much. Because most tax foreclosed homes had been inherited and were fully paid off, when I was interviewing people, they were beating themselves up for losing mama's house, for losing granddaddy's house. Because if there was a mortgage on the home, the bank would have took it before the local government could have taken it. So these are legacy homes we're talking about. And during the interviews that I conducted with tax foreclosed homeowners, there was so much shame and self-lambasting that when the interview was over, I had to call many people back. And I was like, you know what, sis? You know what, my brother? There is no reason to feel shame. Systemic injustice was hidden in these complex property calculations. Racist policies had you trying to slay a dragon with a butter knife. So according to Ibram X. Kendi, whose work has really influenced my own, racist policies he defines them as written and unwritten laws and policies that produce or sustain racial inequity. Now, the way that property taxes are administered in Wayne County undoubtedly qualifies. So as you all know, Wayne County has 43 cities. 33 have a supermajority, which is 70% or more of white people, and 3 have a supermajority of black people, Detroit, Inkster, and Highland Park. One of my studies shows that the majority black cities are being unconstitutionally assessed and foreclosed upon at a far greater rate than the majority white cities. This is racial injustice. But this injustice is not at all exclusively a Detroit problem. Detroit is actually ground zero for a national problem. And a national study shows that blacks and Hispanics pay on average a 10 to 13% higher property tax rate than whites for the same bundle of goods, which equals approximately $300 to $400 more per year. So racialized property tax administration is actually a nationwide problem that America has not yet begun to face. And more importantly, it's a quintessential example of what I call in my book predatory governance. And that's when local governments intentionally or unintentionally raise public dollars through racist policies. We've seen predatory governance in Ferguson, Missouri. Beyond what happened to Michael Brown, there was an excellent DOJ report that basically found that the police in Ferguson engaged in unconstitutional policing by unfairly targeting African Americans for excessive fees and fines. Who benefited financially? Not any corrupt police officer, but the city of Ferguson itself. Predatory governance is what's happening in Detroit and many other cities where the local government is inflating the property taxes of black and brown homeowners. Who's benefiting? Not any corrupt public official, but it's public coffers that are benefiting. So the good news is, just as Detroit is ground zero for this national problem, Detroit is also the epicenter of the resistance. So once my research exposed these hidden structural problems, this information really lifted the shame, allowed homeowners to stop beating themselves up, and made room for righteous indignation so that the fight back could begin. And in 2017, my students and I joined with over a dozen grassroots or community organizations, many of who are represented here today, to form what we call the Coalition for Property Tax Justice. If you're one of the leaders of the coalition, you come to Coffee and Storage, you're one of our organizations, just raise your hand and let everybody see you and recognize you. As a coalition, we have 3 goals. The first is to stop these illegally inflated property tax assessments, not just in Detroit, but nationally. Our second goal is to stop these tax foreclosures until we can make sure that people who are losing their home are losing their home for taxes they actually owe and not illegally inflated property taxes. And third is to provide compensation. So by building community power, we have secured several significant wins. First, we've halted roughly 13,000 tax foreclosures by pressuring the Wayne County Treasurer to place a moratorium on owner-occupied homes in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and most recently in 2024. We have helped over 1,000 Detroit homeowners successfully apply for a total of $4.4 million in federal ARPA money to help pay their illegally inflated property tax debt. We've appealed the property tax assessments for over 1,000 Detroit homeowners completely free of charge. And we've even secured $6 million from the city of Detroit as the beginning of this compensation that needs to happen. But most importantly, through the Dignity Restoration Project, we're raising $10 million to compensate the hardest hit Detroiters like Myrisha, who lost their homes for property taxes they weren't even supposed to be paying in the first place because they qualified for the poverty tax exemption. And you all can go to dignityrestorationproject.org to donate. Again, dignityrestorationproject.org to donate. Your contribution says a message saying, I see you and I affirm your dignity to Myrisha and the 30,000 other people who lost their home for property taxes they weren't supposed to be paying in the first place. To conclude, so I can get to my conversation with my beloved brother here, I'm glad that I did not become an engineer. I'm glad that I did not become a doctor. I'm glad I became a lawyer fighting against the theft of Black homes, fighting to protect our intergenerational wealth and dignity. Both of my parents have gone on to glory, but I know they're smiling down on me today because I've managed not to be a disgrace. But more importantly and more seriously, y'all, you know, people in Detroit and throughout the country who are fighting a losing battle against racist policies, they're not a disgrace either. So let me stop there.
And I'll pause as we're getting ready to go to the next part of the conversation and just remind folks to please silence your cell phones if you're able, so we can make sure that we're picking up all the right audio for this conversation. And now we're going to turn to the conversation, and it's my pleasure to introduce a lifelong Detroiter, Orlando P. Bailey, where he learned how to practice community development in the neighborhood where he was born. Passionate about shifting the narrative of Black cities and neighborhoods, Bailey is an Emmy Award-winning journalist and executive director of Outlier Media. He's the former engagement director for Bridge Detroit, co-host of the podcast Authentically Detroit, and host of Urban Consulate. Previously, he served as chief development officer for the East Side Community Network. I know we got a bunch of ECN folks here tonight.
Yes.
A sought-after voice for public dialogues and media, Bailey has appeared on stages and screens for the Aspen Institute, South by Southwest, Canadian Urban Institute, Wellbeing Cities Forum, American Black Journal on Detroit Public Television, and more. In 2019, Bailey traveled across Europe with the German Marshall Fund of the United States. In 2020, he was named a BME Vanguard Fellow. In 2015, he was selected as an Emerging City Champion by Knight Foundation in 880 cities in Toronto. In 2010, Bailey was the recipient of the Martin Luther King Humanitarian Award from Eastern Michigan University, where he received his bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. Since that time, Bailey has had the privilege to interview hundreds of visionaries and changemakers, including Dr. Cornel West, Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuaid, Dr. Andre M. Perry, and many more. Rooted in his faith and radical love for his community, Bailey is a passionate advocate for city residents as experts in their own lived experience. He continues to reside on Detroit's East Side. Please join me in welcoming Orlando to start the conversation.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for coming out. Give it up one more time for Professor Bernadette Atuahene. You ready to cut up?
Let's cut
up. Because, you know, I'm excited. So I've been getting this book in my spirit since I got it. I've marked it all up. I'm like, I need a hard copy, Professor. I don't read books digitally. And she made sure I was able to get a hard copy. You know, I have so many questions and we only have so little time. I want to remind everybody that if you have questions, there will be a Q&A portion at the end of our conversation. Mama Tashana is going to come around and collect your questions, write them down on that card. I'll cue her about 10 minutes before we are ready for the Q&A. All right, let's get to this book. Some of you, I don't know, has anybody been able to preview it beside me? Okay, so we got a couple of folks who know it. So hopefully we give away just enough to pique your interest enough to go in and read it. All right, so I'm fascinated by how you started the book with a woman named Miss May.
Oh, yeah.
On the east side, on Devon Street. Miss May here?
Well, you know, Miss May, so that's an interesting question. So all of the names are pseudonyms,
okay.
Because my research clearance.
People, I'm like, Miss May?
No.
Because
I'm required to keep their identity confidential.
I get you. You tell the story of Miss May and her through the backdrop of the Great Migration.
Yes.
Right? The second wave, or the second wave of the Great Migration, where a lot of black folks were escaping racial terror in the South. And she had a pretty interesting story. Talk about Miss May.
Yeah, I think Miss May's story so beautifully kind of sums up the different racist policies that black folks had to deal with. So Miss May's people are from Georgia, and they came, and the reason that they left Georgia is because one of her uncles was hung in his front yard. Because for no good reason, because it was jealousy. He was doing well. He owned a lot of land. So as soon as that happened, they came over here to Detroit. And then when they came over here to Detroit, they lived in Black Bottom at first. But the point is they couldn't go to the suburbs where the houses were cheaper, larger, and they had better amenities because of racial covenants. Okay. And so they were able to they weren't able to access the suburbs, but they did live in the Hastings Street neighborhood. And so, but they had a good time in the Hastings Street neighborhood. They had their own, black businesses, social, the neighbors were family. It was just a thriving space. Other people outside might have called it a slum, but for people in the Hastings Street community, it was not at all that, right? There was a lot of social capital. But then urban renewal comes and they run a freeway, right? And so everyone in the Hastings Street neighborhood now has to disperse. And so urban renewal is one of these racist policies I'm talking about because it over focuses on black communities, right? Seeing them as slums and not seeing all the value in the black community, all of the black businesses and the vibrant, the vibrancy, the jazz clubs, the cultural institutions. And they didn't see any value in it. And so they ran freeways and other things, they tore it down. And so once they were displaced through an urban renewal, then they move to, they finally are able to buy their first home. And they buy the first home, and when they first get there, they're the first black family on the block. And everyone else on the block, they got on swimmingly, right? They loved each other, they got along. But because of another racist policy called blockbusting, within 5 years, there was only one white family left, and the neighborhood had turned completely black. What is blockbusting? It has a lot to do with, first, the other racist policy, redlining, which is when the federal government drew a red line around black communities based solely on race, declaring that these communities were a credit risk, and so banks should not lend to these communities. And again, when you don't have investment coming into the community, of course the houses are deteriorating because you don't have money for home repair loans, mortgages, etc. And so we have a situation where then black people, because of redlining, because of a federal policy named redlining, the very presence of black people can reduce home values. Redlining makes black people pariahs.
And the opposite is also true.
Yeah.
See a white girl walking a dog.
Right.
And a coffee shop pops up 5 months later. Like
right.
that.
Right.
We're talking about, I'm serious, like the very presence.
That's right.
Is a market indicator.
That's right, yeah. And so we have this situation where the people on the block, and again, they all worked in the auto industry. Right. They got along well. It's not like they didn't like the Miss May's family, right? But the point is, they knew that the blacks coming would reduce their market value. And so they left. And real estate intermediaries then told that the blacks are coming. So they sold at fire sale prices. Anytime you sell quick, you don't get the full value. Then they resold the same homes to black people at inflated prices. And that's how Miss May gets her home, right? Her first home. So I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I put Miss May in the introduction because it's such a way to introduce people who don't know about these things.
Yeah.
to what racist policies look like, what they feel like. And one thing I try and do in the book is I don't tell, I show you. Right? And so I'm just telling you about her life.
Yeah.
And then you can see how these racist policies affected her at every moment.
You also thread, again, a national phenomenon, the Great Migration, but you also thread in really significant parts of Detroit's history. Talk about your process of gathering and retelling some of the history that some people in this room lived and remember and lived through.
Yeah. So my process is, so I'm not a historian, so I'm not trying to go look for history. I'm an ethnographer. So I start with people.
Yeah.
And so I sit with people, I do interviews of people, and I'll do, over the course of, with the main characters in the book, I might have done at least 8 interviews with them. Get different information every time. And my process is I do the interview, and then I do multiple interviews trying to get the information. Then I get the story down and I do what's called a read back. I read it back to the person, and after every paragraph I said, did I get it right? And what you find in the read back, people's like, and that gives them agency in, we're telling their story together. Because if they tell me to remove something, I remove it, right? And so it gives them agency, but more importantly, it also sparks memories. Like when I'm reading it back, they're like, oh, I should have also told you about this. It's a way for me to get more information. And so once I get the story together, then I go back and fill it in. Then I go back and do research to find out, okay, she told me her grandfather worked at Ford, River Rouge. Then I go back and do research about Ford, River Rouge, right? I'm not just doing historical research. I'm doing the research to fill in and tell a robust story.
So the story is driving.
The people, that's what I'm here for.
People are
That's it.
driving
That's
the
it.
research.
Period. As the young people say, period.
Do we say that?
Yes, y'all say that.
I'll let you have it, Professor.
Look at Serena shaking her head.
The other thing, before we get into, the main crux and characters of the book, you give a little bit of autobiography, right? And you tie it to what it is that you do, ethnography.
Yeah.
You root yourselves in communities.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about the process of rooting yourself in Detroit.
Yeah.
Because you're not from here, right?
Neither was I from South Africa.
And you weren't from South Africa, and Detroiters love reminding folks when they're not from here and they come and do work. And so you are interviewing Detroiters, you are talking to them. Talk about your entry. Talk about the process that you had to go through to build trust, to get these stories, these very rich stories from Detroiters.
Absolutely. So at the end of the book, you all have the book, and at the end of the book, there's a section called About the Book, where I talk about my research methods. Yeah. So it's at the end of the book. And how I go about this is, I'm kind of, in the academy, I'm on the outskirts, all right? So that's just what's happening here. So I find the academy to be extremely and unnecessarily extractive. What usually happens in research is researchers come to poor neighborhoods, they interview people, they give really scant research incentives, they go back and write the paper, they do publications, and people that they interviewed never get to see the publications, they never get to read the books, they never get any of the information. And it's not that these researchers are bad people, it's the way that the incentives are set up inside of the academy, publish or perish. There is literally no incentive given for doing the work of going back and working in community and relaying solutions, and relaying information back to community members, fighting for the solutions. All of that work I do, it's on my own time. And so the way that the academy is set up is highly extractive. So, I decided I didn't want to be part of that. And so I do what I do, which is anytime I go into a community, again, I come in and listen, because that's what I love to do. Interviewing, like some people let grad students do their interviews. I'm like, why would you do that? That's my favorite part, right? Like talking to people, and people be crying. I be crying with them. I'm a mess, But I love the interviews because I just love hearing from people and touching people so what I'm about is about giving before you take. And so when I got here and saw this problem, then I said, all right, before I went to law school, I was a community organizer in South Central LA. So I said, since 2009, 1 in 3 homes has been subject to property tax foreclosure. 1 in 3. We haven't seen this number of property tax foreclosure since the Great Depression. And it's an 80% black city called Detroit. I couldn't just write a paper and then keep it moving. The organizer in me was like, all right, let's get to work. Yeah. And that's what we did. So we, again, approached people. Sarita's one of the first people I approached. Donna, all of these people. I was like, I want to create this coalition. Will y'all join with me? And they did, because they knew kind of my heart and what I was trying to do. And the main thing is I use my students to serve the community, to give. So we started right away, again, appealing the property taxes. I have these law students. I like to put these students to work. Okay, they got to get to work. And so we put them to work appealing the property taxes. And through doing the appealing of the property taxes, we got to see what was wrong, right? And through the work is how we really started figuring out what the problems were. Yeah. And then that fed into the solutions and the activism, and we were able to, based on what we saw with people, create policy proposals and create legislation. We've passed, 3 pieces of legislation so far based on the work we do with community members. And one of the great things about the coalition is 85% of the people we serve in this property tax appeal project come back and fight with us in the organizing to do the structural change, policy change. Mm-hmm. And so, so in terms of like my method and that's what I do, is not just take and be extractive, which is what the Academy is set up to do, but it's about giving something, right? And because this is the way I do it, again, nobody could get the stories I got. Because you have to be rooted and placed in community and have gained a great deal of trust to be able to do this work at this, the stories you're going to read in the book. Yeah. You just don't open up and tell your whole thing to some stranger. At that point, I wasn't a stranger. I had been working in community. So the two things go together. It's not just, you prioritize giving instead of being extractive, and then you also are able to tell more richer, robust stories. And guess what? How we change the world is through stories. Yeah. Well, I want to, okay. Give me enough of that. Because I can help. Because therein, there's a point, there is a signal there that you cannot sacrifice the relationship with time. You have to take the time to build the relationship. Yeah. You cannot sacrifice the fidelity. That's exactly right. You talk about stories being able to change the world. Yes. I am in the business of stories. And so I love this. And you talk a lot about narrative. So let's talk about Grandpa Bucci. Okay. And Grandpa Brown. Yes. Grandpa Bucci, the grandfather of a pretty well-known figure to everybody in Wayne County and Detroit, former county executive, former Wayne County Sheriff, Robert Ficano. Yes. Who has a mixed reputation here in the city of Detroit, especially. And then Myrisha's grandfather, Grandpa Brown. How did you find these two stories? So what's the parallel? Both co-workers, very different outcomes. So what was so crazy is I was interviewing both Myrisha and Ficano. Yeah. And as I was interviewing, they both started talking a lot about their grandfather. So I just started exploring it more and more. And then I found out, oh my goodness, both of their grandfathers were sharecroppers. One from North Carolina, one from Italy. Both of their grandfathers started working at Ford's River Rouge plant in the early 1900s, 1902, 1905. So I was like, I was already writing before I made this realization. I was like, whoa, I got to stop and I'm going to rewrite. So I literally started over and then told the narrative through these two grandfathers. So it's not like I started, I'm going to write the book from the grandfathers. Through the interviewing, I found this. I was like, this is the perfect hook, narrative hook to tell the story. So people could understand. So you have Grandpa Bucci again. He has a hard story. He was in Italy. He then went to the coal mines of France, where he lost a finger, so he didn't have a hard life, an easy life. And he then worked at the River Rouge plant, which was where majority black people worked and a few white people. But he was one of the white people working at the River Rouge plant. Alongside black folk. And alongside black folk. And so I show you how these two grandfathers with very similar starting points have them and their progeny have very different ending points because of racist policies. So because Grandpa Bucci, again, the book, you know, it really gives his full story. He did not at all have an easy life, but he never had to deal with racially restrictive covenants that prevented him from moving to the suburbs where the houses were bigger, cheaper, right, with better amenities.
And building in the suburbs. Yeah.
So he never had to deal with racial covenants.
Yeah.
Grandpa Bucci had a hard life, but he never had to deal with redlining, where the presence of him and his Italian family and people itself lowered the value of a home or was a reason to not invest in that neighborhood. He never had to go through redlining. He never had his community demolished through urban renewal. He never had, you know, was abandoned as block busting flipped the community, right? Also, and again, in the book, I'm telling you right now because this is this format, but in the book I show you, I just tell you the story and you can see it for yourself. That these two men, again, very similar situations, but different outcomes. And today, Robert Ficano lives in Grandpa Bucci's home, and it's in Livonia. It's worth over $250,000. And I said, you know, Robert, why do you live here? He said, because I don't have to pay a note to pay it off the house. Meanwhile, Marisha's here in the city of Detroit. Her house is worth less than $10,000. Nobody in the family wants it because it's a money pit. And it's a money pit because of redlining and all of these racist policies. That's why it's a money pit. And you see her trying to rehabilitate the home, fighting to rehabilitate the home steady. And as if that wasn't enough, steady paying illegally inflated property taxes. She doesn't know they're illegally inflated, but that's taking away money she needed for the home improvements. So you could see through the grandfathers and then their grandchildren, one today has an asset and the other one inherited a money pit. But the dangerous narrative that gets told is, I have what I have because I worked hard. Woo.
Well, let's start there.
Because I worked hard. Let me say something. Because I worked hard. Guess what? You can see, again, I show you Grandpa Brown worked hard too, y'all. Grandpa Brown worked hard too. And so this narrative about I have what I have because I work hard, the book addresses that directly.
You know, the narrative of personal responsibility is often weaponized against black folks. We don't work hard enough. We made the wrong decisions. We're buying purses and, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, it's so funny, Bernadette. I was, for about 6 years, I chaired the board of One Detroit Credit Union, right? And when all of the COVID relief came in for people got their checks, they got the stimulus checks and stuff like that. What I saw, what the numbers showed me, is that these black people were paying their bills with this money. They weren't buying purses. That is so asinine to me. I don't know. I can't even figure out. So talk about this quest to really just dispel the harmful and reverberating narrative that the current conditions that black people face that are current are because they made a wrong decision.
That's it. That's it. And you know, that's it. So let's go back to redlining. And again, we can take any racist policy, but when the community is redlined, that is a federal policy that's preventing dollars from coming into that community. So of course, the community doesn't have, you know, it doesn't look good because there's no money to do the upkeep and the maintenance. Of course it doesn't look good. But then this space that is deteriorating because of lack of investment, this black space, oh no, it's like that, not because of redlining and the racist policies. It's like that because black people are dirty. It's like that because black people are criminal. It's like that because black people, you know, they just single mothers, right? And so all of these other reasons to explain the disparity and to explain the way the community looks, right? The blame gets held on the shoulders of what's visible, which is the black people living in the community, and then the racist policies get off scot-free. The racist policies are invisible, but what's visible are the black people. And so the invisible thing that's doing the work, nobody talks about it. The problem is the black people. And so that's what the book is really trying to, again, that's the other, it's just like, no, you need to understand these, we need to understand, again, that's why we got racist policies in the title. We need to understand the role of racist policies in black home ownership and black wealth building. And that's what the book is trying to do.
Yeah. One of the first assignments that I got when I came home from school and started working at ECN in 2011 was to go door to door on the Lower East Side and knock on residents' doors to let them know that their home was in danger of being foreclosed on for property taxes. That's right, 2011. I threw that in on purpose. 2011, 2012, and it was massive. The stories that even I got as a young community organizer who was working in the neighborhood where I grew up, folks not even aware that they were in this kind of trouble. And us, the organizers, not aware that we were in the midst of a crisis that will slash about a third of home ownership in the city of Detroit at the time. Yeah. Right? You guys come along, we researchers come along, and we begin to expose this crazy phenomenon that was happening in the city of Detroit and call it what it was, call it a crisis. The stories are very similar. Inherited dad's home, grandma's home, right? Upside down in the home. Grandma Bucci, Grandpa Bucci, Grandpa Brown. Myrisha inherits a liability. Anthony, Robert inherits an asset. Talk about how these two parallels can coexist because of spatial racism. Yeah. And how, like, the neighborhood where my great-grandparents bought in was ravaged because of the property tax foreclosure crisis. And we didn't even know we were in the midst of a crisis. Yeah. And so, you know, when I first got to Detroit, one of the first interviews I actually did was with Sarita. And we were talking about, you know, one powerful thing you told me, Sarita, she was just like, you know, we saw the property tax foreclosure happening, but we had so many other fighting against the school, you know, the poor education, fighting against, you know, trying to board up these houses and keep our communities. There were so many other fights going on that, you know, this is one thing, no matter where I go, the main thing I know about Detroit is a city of fighters, okay? It's a city of fighters. And Detroiters have been fighting racist policies since black people came here in droves through the Great Migration. So it's a city of fighters. And even before. But it's a city of fighters. And there was but the point is there were lots of things to fight. Too many things to fight. And so a lot of the local nonprofits were just low capacity and so, you know, worn to the bone. And so they didn't have time to necessarily do all of this hours and hours of research to really uncover what was going on. So that is the benefit of the academy, or potentially, if it's done properly, where you can come in and actually spend the time to do the deep dive. And the main thing, the power of it of the research is to switch the narrative from one of personal irresponsibility to one of structural justice. But that takes research and deep diving, because the natural narrative that comes up first with no research, it's like the knee-jerk reaction, right, is the narrative of personal irresponsibility. So you got to do the work, and by switching from the narrative of personal irresponsibility to the narrative of structural injustice, that's the work of people who love justice. That's our work of people who love racial justice, is that discursive move, is changing the conversation everywhere you are, in every conversation you're part of, you know, ding, 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 ding,
uh-oh, this is a narrative of personal irresponsibility. I'm immediately going to switch this up to start talking about structural injustice. In your churches, in your families, at the dinner table, wherever you are, that is your work. Right? Is to move the conversation from a conversation of personal irresponsibility to really naming the structural injustice. And what breaks my heart is these narratives of personal irresponsibility. It's not only people thrusting it upon vulnerable populations, they internalize them. This is my fault.
Yeah.
The
shame.
People, the shame. And guess what happens when you're living under a mantle of shame? Is you're hiding.
You're hiding it.
There's no room for righteous indignation and fight back. And so, again, that's why the work, this discursive move of switching from these narratives of personal irresponsibility to narratives of structural injustice is so important, because it helps to lift the shame so people can get to the fight back.
Can I read something
Which is
from the
what
book?
people in Detroit have, a PhD in fight back. That's what I call it.
Let me read something in the book that sort of illustrates this point. Marisha's personal narrative, nevertheless, focused on her failings as an individual. Unjust, invisible, formless systems had no shoulders on which to carry blame. Only Marisha did. This is the part that really got me. It stopped me in my tracks. Since Marisha's faith drives her to believe that everything happens for a reason, this is after she lost her home, y'all, she tried to make sense of her stolen legacy. Here's the quote: I kind of felt a sense of relief. These are tears of joy, Marisha, filled with emotion, explained. I was just being used to stabilize the house so somebody else could benefit from it. So it wasn't in vain. And I don't feel bad that I did what I could do. It's a legacy that the house is still standing. Even if you just drive by and you say, that house is still standing. Talk about experiencing that kind of resolve after somebody who has given their life, taking care of their family, trying to take care of this family home, and experienced the loss, and this is how she responds to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to respond. Detroit is a deeply spiritual place.
Yeah.
When you are in a city that is 80% black, you are in a city that is experiencing waves and waves of racist policies. The only way not to lose your whole ass mind is through faith. It's believing in a higher power. That another day something else is going to come. God is going to fix this eventually. Because if you give up your faith, you'll collapse. You will lose your whole mind. So that kind of statement of faith that she ends with, I mean, that's all you can do. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
If you want to keep your sanity and keep moving forward. That's just what it is.
I want to ask you a more technical question about the industry of assessors. I don't know about y'all, but I can't say that I know an assessor.
You know me?
I know me? I'm an assessor. I don't know an assessor. And so I'm trying to help us understand this industry. Is it hard to get into? Why don't we know assessors? How many assessors does the city of Detroit have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what does this process as a career opportunity look like? Is it lucrative? Does it not pay? Where's the gap?
Yeah, well, I don't know how much the point is, I don't know how many assessors the city of Detroit has, but I do know it doesn't have enough, right? They did an audit and they don't have enough for the number of homes that are in the city. So I do know that. How it works is there are a series of tests. Right? There's the MCAT, which is the first one that gives you a license to kind of work in an assessor's office, but not to be an assessor. The next test is called the MCAO, which is that 9-month class, and you have to pass a state exam, and a 2-part state exam, which is what I took, and that's when you actually become an assessor. And there are 2 or 3 other levels. Like, for instance, in the city of Detroit, you have to have the highest qualification, and it goes by number of homes in your jurisdiction. So right now, my assessing license, I could work in the assessing office only for cities of a certain population. So the interesting thing that Detroiters need to know is Alvin Horn, who is you all's assessor, has not passed the exam, the highest exam that you need to do, be an assessor of a city of this size. And so he never signs the assessment roll. He does not sign the assessment roll because he has not passed that exam. So someone else signs your assessment roll. But he's the one that is in charge of assessments in Detroit, puts together the assessments, et cetera. But that's how it works. It's a series of exams that you have to take. And is it lucrative? I mean, you're going to be working for government, right? So most assessors are working for local government. Mm-hmm. So that's how it works.
Can we talk, everybody, make sure you write down your questions. Mama Tashana, it's a good time for you to start going around and collecting questions. I want to talk about language because I love to talk about language. You called the book Plundered. Why? Why did you choose? We know what it means.
Yeah.
You know.
Because literally that is, I told you, all my work since I became a professor deals with land stolen from black people.
Yeah.
That's what I study.
Yeah.
Theft.
Yeah.
Plunder.
Yeah.
So it could have been called theft. But plunder just rolled off the tongue better, you know?
Because I was like, why? Yeah, plundered.
Yeah.
Stolen.
Yeah.
Talk about, you have.
And when you write a trade press book, you know, it's about 10 million people. It's just like, Lord. Anyway, so the point is we went through different iterations of the title. Let me just say that. But there's lots of people involved and so this is the one we could all kind of agree on. Yeah. Because I was like, we not watering this down, okay? Yeah. But I had to also, you know, work with other people, etc.
Another character in the book that we all know is current County Executive Warren Evans.
Yes.
And you make a really palpable distinction in the book after Robert Ficano lost his re-election bid, that there was some hope on part of residents that relief would come, while drawing this parallel to the city within Wayne County being the largest concentration of black people within the county, in a county that is predominantly white, right? Why did you feel the need to make that distinction?
So, you know, I always tell my students, anytime you have a problem, and you want to get to the core of the problem, you need to follow the money, okay? And so that's what I do in this book is I follow the money. And I want to figure out who is making money from all of this overtaxation in Detroit. And a lot of people instinctually think it's the city of Detroit. But I can tell you through my research, that's not the case. The city of Detroit is the biggest financial loser, not winner, from these systematic foreclosures. Why? Because when you foreclose on a house, the house next door, there's so much empirical evidence, the value goes down, right? A vacant home, now that home, multiple homes they're not collecting property taxes, blight, et cetera, et cetera. The city of Detroit and property taxes as compared to other areas, cities, Detroit's line item for property tax in its budget is actually fairly modest. Compared to other cities.
For sure.
So it's not Detroit that's making money, okay? So then who is making money? And that's what part 3 of the book really details. And the number one, and I shouldn't give this away, right? Because I got to read the book.
I know. So that's what I'm also trying to carry, like not giving too much away.
I know.
No, this is good. Well,
do I say it or I don't know? I don't know what to do.
Say it.
Okay.
Say it.
Okay.
Say it.
Okay. Dr. House says say it, I'm going to say it. All right. So the number one money maker is Wayne County. It's Wayne County.
Majority white Wayne County.
That's right. Speak it, because, you know, C-SPAN Books is here, so we got to explain the local content. It's not just for the people in America, okay?
Yeah.
80% black city surrounded by white suburbs, Wayne County, all right? So what's going on? When you don't pay your property taxes in any city in Wayne County, after 1 year of not paying them, that debt then, this locality, the city, transfers the debt to the county, and then the county becomes the debt collector. okay? And the county gets to put a statutorily mandated 18% interest penalty on any property tax debt, which is in and of itself a racist policy, that policy itself. Because when you charge people 18% interest, that's assuming I have the money and I just don't want to pay. 18%, but when I'm not paying because I don't have the money, charging 18% interest penalty makes no damn sense, right? And so the point is that that 18% interest goes into something called the Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund. So in that fund goes all the 18% interest from all the delinquencies in Detroit. In that fund goes anytime they sell a home in foreclosure, the profits go into that fund. Everything related goes into this fund. So everybody knows, even outside of Detroit, that Detroit goes through the largest municipal bankruptcy in U.S. history, gets taken over by an emergency manager. But what few people know is that at the same time, Wayne County is also in a financial emergency, and Wayne County is also about to get taken over by an emergency manager. And Wayne County saves itself from bankruptcy and emergency manager using the money in the Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund. So they save themselves off of the backs of delinquency and tax foreclosure in Detroit. Okay. So in the book, what you're talking about, I talk, it's Ficano, the two execs. So Ficano loses, Warren Evans wins. And so Ficano's telling the story saying, we were in a tight situation. That's not ideal. I know it's predatory, but the money was there and we had to use it. But then he goes after Warren Evans. He's like, but the fact that they are continuing to do it and we are outside of the emergency is immoral, right? So he comes for Evans. This is like a telenovela in part 4.
Our politics is very soap opera here in the city of Detroit.
And so I also tell, so the biggest winner is Wayne County, but also I tell the story of all the other people who are making money. There's a whole group of Argentinians, weirdly enough, who have invested here and bought up the houses from the foreclosure auction. Lots of people from all over the world, all over the U.S. I tell the story of an investor from Miami, from South Florida, investors from the suburbs. And I even tell the story of a local Detroit native, a brother who couldn't get a job because, he was formerly incarcerated, and so started buying up houses and refurbishing them. And so he too is making money by buying homes from the property tax foreclosure auction, while he is also victimized by the illegally inflated property taxes. And so the book, while, not taking focus that Wayne County is the biggest winner, and then second are these large speculators that I also talk, but then I also paint a full story about all the other people who are also financially benefiting from delinquency and foreclosure in Detroit.
My last question, I could talk to you forever. We love talking to you. There's this other theme in the book that doesn't play a supporting character, but it's front and center, and I really want to name it, especially for the Black women in the room, and that is the undue burden and onerous burden on part of Black women.
Yes.
To hold it together.
Yes.
To care for everybody.
Yes. Holding so much, doing so much.
Leave college after 3 years to go take care of mama, and then help mama take care of her children and take care of daddy who wasn't really there. Like you paint such a visceral picture that I think would provide so many Black women sight and affirmation to their experiences. Was that on purpose?
Well, yes, talking about genders, we need, intersectionality. You can't talk about race without talking about gender and class, right? And in this particular instance, the Black woman, we go through so much, we do so much, but we got to keep it moving. We got to keep going. That it was such a powerful, when I wrote up the story and I read it back to my Risha, she was in tears. And she was like, my God, did I go through that? Because it had happened not in 2 pages, it had happened over, 20 years. And so the readback was even a powerful moment where she was just like, damn, did I go through that? Like, yeah, I actually went through that and I survived through that. you know? And it's just Black women are going through so much, but again, if you stop, you'll lose your mind. If you really do, you know, so you just got to keep moving. There's a motion, you know, just got to keep moving, because if you stop and really think about all that you're going through and all that you're carrying, all the people and all the things that we carry, you'll get crushed under that weight. So we can't think about it. We just got to keep moving. And that's what you see, in Myrisha in the book is doing, is what Black women do. Carry so much and just keep moving.
Yeah. I want to get to some of the questions. First off, y'all give Bernadette a hand, y'all. That's amazing. This is super good. Dean, how much time we have for the questions here?
We really only have about 5 minutes because we do have a reception downstairs.
All right, rapid fire. Okay.
Okay, or maybe just one question. So pick one.
I haven't been able to go through them yet. Okay, so I'll pick the first one. Is there a relationship between racist policies and gentrification? Can that kind of investment be encouraged while simultaneously guarding against structural inequity?
Yeah. So what I need everybody to understand is gentrification has different mechanisms, right? And I need you to understand that property tax foreclosure is a mechanism of gentrification. The reason Detroit used to be a majority homeowner city, and now it's flipped to a majority renter city. And that's because of the two ways. First, it was mortgage foreclosure, and now second wave is tax foreclosure. And so now renting, well, and again, the point is tax foreclosure is a mechanism of gentrification. So that's what I want everybody to understand.
Right. Real quick.
No, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm trying to make the answer short.
Okay, so because I'm getting 2 questions that have to do with the school system, and so
I don't really know much about the school system.
Well, we know, but let's ask this question anyway. Okay, did you discover that data on many families left the city because the schools were closing? Detroit went through. Okay,
that's just not part of my research.
All right, let me ask you this question. Many Detroiters are victims of overpayment because of overassessments of property taxes, but did not lose their homes.
Yes, come on.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any suggestions or recommendations on recompense for those?
Well, that's exactly. And yes, so a lot of people, we have different classes of people. So this Dignity Restoration Project I told you about, that's for people who, again, lost their homes already. But there's lots of people, especially our seniors, who on limited incomes, who just paid the illegally inflated property taxes and just did less with other things. Sometimes even, reducing important medications, and they just reduced and they paid. And so one of the things as a coalition we're fighting for, after we are able to get the implementation of our property tax reform ordinance, which we passed, which the mayor and the city have not implemented, but that's a whole other, maybe for the reception, I don't know. But after we get this property tax reform ordinance implemented, we want to really look in so all of the leaders of the coalition, raise your hand, all of our leaders. And one of the things we're fighting for is tax credits. So if you don't have money, the point is, well, then you should make sure to reduce our future tax bills. So we're working for tax credits, and that's one of the things that we have on our agenda, again, after we can get what we already fought for and passed actually implemented, which has not happened.
All right, y'all don't beat me up, because y'all heard him say we got 5 minutes left. I don't want to hear it. Why not sue?
Oh, goodness.
Why not sue?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about at least $600 million in overtaxation. Yeah. We're talking about the literal violent dispossession of homes, robbing folks of their legacies and their wealth. Why not a lawsuit?
So we did sue. And not only did we sue, but we had literally the legal public interest dream team. It's a case called Morningside. We had the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, ACLU of Michigan, and for the Deep Pockets, Covington and Burling in Washington, D.C. You could not have better representation. And so the point is, they sued in state court. Why didn't they sue? Any lawyer in the room knows that anything civil rights related, you want to be in federal court. You don't want to be in state court. but they couldn't go to federal court because of a statute called the Tax Injunction Act, which prohibits federal courts from hearing any issue having to deal with state tax collection. So that means they were banned from federal court because of the Tax Injunction Act, and they were forced to litigate in the state court. So they met Judge Colombo in the state court, and there were two claims. One claim was against the city of Detroit for obstructive administration of the poverty tax exemption. I just told y'all, people, right? And the other claim was an interesting claim. It was a Fair Housing Act claim because, you know, in this, again, I'm going to be a law professor really quick. So in our constitutional equal protection jurisprudence, the only way you can get relief is through intentional discrimination. You have to have a smoking gun and prove intent. It was a case called Washington v. Davis. And the only way you can get disparate impact, so meaning you don't care about the intent, you just care about the result, is if it's statutorily enabled. And it is statutorily enabled in the Fair Housing Act is one of the places where disparate impact is statutorily enabled. So we had that. So it was a disparate impact claim saying exactly what I just told you. In Wayne County, the white counties are, you know, the black counties are being unconstitutionally assessed and foreclosed on at a greater rate than the white counties. That's what you have to prove in a disparate impact claim. So both of those go forward. The FHA claim, again, which we have reams and reams of data about. Mind you, the city of Detroit is not at all fighting. They've admitted all of this. So no one is like, oh, this didn't happen. No one is saying that. Well, you know it happens. So Judge Colombo at the first instance says, you brought it to the wrong court. You weren't supposed to bring it to state court. You're supposed to bring it to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. Right? We said, whatever, Judge Colombo. They appealed to the appellate court. Appellate court agreed with Judge Colombo. The coalition, that was our early days. We all, you know, went there. We were in the courtroom. We were, you know, just to make sure those judges know that we were serious, and we still lost. And then in Michigan, the Supreme Court has to grant cert, and they denied cert, which means that the lower court ruling stood. And let me explain to you. The lower court ruling kills the case for 3 reasons. Number one, the Michigan Tax Tribunal is not a court. It's an administrative agency. Because it's an administrative agency, it doesn't have what we call injunctive power. An injunction is when the court tells you to do something or not to do something, and we wanted to tell Wayne County and Detroit to stop their foolishness. And so they don't even have injunctive power. Number 2, because it's an agency and not a court, it doesn't have a class action facility. So to get justice, you have to sue individual by individual by individual, and we wanted to sue of the structural injustice. All right. And the third and final is the Fair Housing Act gives you 2 years to put together a case because these disparate impact cases are really fact intensive, et cetera. But in order to get to the Michigan Tax Tribunal, we had to file a claim between February 1st and February 15th, 15 days. So for those 3 reasons, it kills the case. And, you know, I'm a law professor, and we do our law students a disservice saying when there's some illegality, go to the courts and you can get it fixed up. We don't teach them about these instances where procedural barriers prevent substantive justice. And this happens far more than, you know, this is not an anomaly, these types of instances. Okay? So if I tell y'all that despite all of this evidence, to this day, it has not been heard by a court because of these procedural barriers. My God. All right, wait, that's the bad news. I want to give some good news. I know we're about to end. I can't end on over.
Wrap on the good, yeah.
Okay, wrap. I know. Dean Schreck is like, all right. Good news is that the second claim for obstructive administration of the poverty tax exemption, we have a big win there. It goes for that part, goes forward against the city of Detroit. And it, for the lawsuit, forces the city to clean up its act, remove all of these barriers. And after we get the lawsuit lasts 3 years. So the coalition organizes and we statutorily put all those changes into statute so they be permanent. And after we created our statute, poverty tax exemption in Detroit, the state of Michigan takes a lot of the innovations we do in Detroit and puts it in, makes their own new law and redoes the poverty tax exemption for the whole state of Michigan. So again, the fighters in Detroit are what makes the poverty tax exemption accessible, not only for Detroiters, but more accessible for the entire state of Michigan. So again, I just want to end with a note of, the resistance is real and we are the resistance. And y'all, there are so many people in this room who are working so hard to make sure that, this injustice doesn't prevail. And the point is we are winning. That's what I want to end by saying. We are winning.
Thank you again, Professor. Thank you, Orlando. Another round of applause.
Every Sunday on C-SPAN 2 It's Book TV,